Hey guys, it's Brandon here again at Vape Extreme. Got a toy review. Again, accessories for vaping. I classify them as toys because, I don't know, they're toys to me. It's going to be on the DCT V1, I believe is what it is. This is coming from vaporist.com. They are another Canadian vendor, like I've mentioned in my juice review from them. Great guys to deal with. Song's a really decent guy to deal with. The customer service is fantastic. If you have any issues, they set you up pretty quick. So anyway, this is a review, and it's going to be kind of a quick review on the tank system here. I've always wanted to get a tank in, and finally I got one in from Vaporist, because a lot of the vendors that I was looking at beforehand, they weren't carrying them. It was mostly cartomizers and atomizers, and you know, that was pretty much the gist of it. One thing I've noticed, I'm a new vapor, you know, I'll put that out in the open, not like it's a big deal to me, but I've noticed that from the Canadian market to the American market, it's different, and I know everybody already realizes this. It's like that in everything. So it's really nice to see Canadian vendors that are getting the toys in that the Americans get to play with. It's kind of a pain in the butt to deal with customs and, you know, ordering stuff in from the States and dealing with stuff like that. It's so much nicer just to deal with Canada. No offense to the States, it's actually more of the border issue, if anything. So yeah, that's my little rant. I have an empty tank, and I forgot it over there, so one sec. Hi. So anyway, when you order them in from vaporist.com, this is basically what you get. You get a nice clear drip tip and a cartomizer pre-installed. They are dual coil, which is, again, another new thing for me because I'm fairly new to vaping. I kind of have a rough idea what my vaping style is like, but I've got a lot to learn. I'm not giving any shout-outs or any kudos or doing any butt kissing or anything like that, but to be honest with you, Nick at Grim Green Army or Industries, or he's kind of been, I'm not going to say my, I'm not even really sure how to label it. He's kind of my go-to guy. I watch a lot of his reviews. A lot of the product that he mentions we don't have in Canada, or if we do have it in Canada, it's just so retardedly priced that why would you buy it? It's almost worth trying to buy it out of the States. But he's kind of any tips or tricks or any new mods or anything like that, I generally check his YouTube page out first because, again, I don't know, he seems like a really cool guy. I've never met him before. I'd love to meet him, but whatever. It probably will never happen. Again, I know it's kind of corny, but hey, it's the way I am. So anyway, I see him vaping tanks and mods and everything else, so I've been trying to experience what he experiences. I know it sounds retarded, but that's just the way I am. So anyway, I was watching him do a filling of a tank, and I'd always wondered why you always pulled the cardo down. Whoops, sorry, that wasn't supposed to happen. The O-rings are really tight, but why you always pull the cardo down to fill a tank? I figured that out, and I'll explain it later on in the video. Very unfortunate incident. So anyway, I'm going to take the tank apart just so you can kind of see how how it all goes together. So basically, you get a clear tube, which is a little bit nicer than your syringe mods. I've seen a lot of those. I've tried doing one, and it sucked, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if it was a cardo or if something got into the atomizer or into the cartomizer, but I was vaping a juice, it was tasting fine, and as I got to like halfway through the tank, I was starting to taste burning rubber. I don't know. So I'm not sure if something had gotten into the cartomizer when I was vaping it or whatever the deal was, but I threw that in the garbage. So I figured, what the hell? They all can't be like that because everybody uses them nowadays. So I ordered one in. This is kind of a small version. It only holds, I think, 3 mils of juice, 3 or 4 mils of juice. I'm not 100% sure on that. Again, sorry about the inaccurate review, but I'm having fun tonight. Um, so yeah, it's a plastic tube, and you get 2 plastic caps, which have O-rings on the outside, and you're not going to be able to see this, but there's also O-rings on the inside. You'll also notice that the one has a kind of an indent. These DVC tanks come with a specific cartomizer. They've actually got a flat bottom, which is actually really nice. I've never used a tank before until I got these in, so I don't know. I've never really experienced any other tank, but yeah. So basically all you're going to do is you slide the bottom one, which has got that little indentation, and you slide it in, line up the indentation, and that's pretty much what it looks like. I'm really sorry, guys, that I'm shooting this from my cell phone. Again, I'm working on a new webcam, and I can't find one that works with my laptop. So anyway, at that point, you slide the tube over top of the end cap. Now, here's where my good buddy Nick gave me a phenomenal piece of advice, and I decided not to take it. Not a good idea. So I figured, well, hell, you've got a much bigger area to put e-juice in, right? So rather than doing it the way that you're supposed to fill a tank, I lifted the cartomizer up and dripped my e-juice in and filled it up to roughly where the line is, just from where the O-ring sits, basically. Then I proceeded to take my cap and slide it over the top part of the cartomizer, and as I pushed it down, it pissed e-juice at the bottom. Now, Nick, you are a smart guy thinking in advance that once you put the cap on the top, and this is kind of a video for an FYI for someone who's just purchased a tank and filling it. When you push the tank, or the cap, sorry, over top of the carto, the air that's on the inside stays in there because it's sealed. So as you're pushing it down, the small hole that's cut in your cartomizer, well, when you push it down, it just forces the e-juice out. Go figure. So the proper way to fill the tank is to actually take the cartomizer, push it out, or pull it out the bottom so that it basically just clears the bottom of the top cap, right? Then you take your e-juice, which I'm just going to demonstrate this briefly. Take the cartomizer and push it up as high as you can get it to go, which will probably be right to the actual tank plastic. Take your e-juice and drip it down the side. It'll automatically run across the inside, down, and then it'll run right down the bottom. And as you're filling it, you can literally take it and put it straight up and down, and it'll keep running down the side. You want to leave a little bit of an air gap in there, just to be on the safe side. You basically want to fill it up just till it's about, to the top of the cartomizer. And at that point, you just kind of line it up. Very carefully shove it through. Make sure you're lined up at the bottom. And voila. You would have basically a full tank, just like this one here. Now, I'm not really sure if you can get replacement O-rings for the inside or the outside. The first time that I filled this one, I noticed that when I shoved it through, it cut the O-ring a little bit. It was just kind of a really tiny piece of the rubber sitting at the top. It hasn't leaked at all. except for when I forced all the e-juice out at the bottom, of course. But yeah, it's definitely a different style of vaping. It's a cartomizer with, I'm not going to say an unlimited supply of e-juice, but you get a lot more vape time out of a tank than you do out of a standard cartomizer. So if you guys are looking at, sorry, any of the new guys that are out there, I'm not doing this video for guys that have been doing this for eons. But for those of you that are looking at getting into a tank, you know, you've done your step up from your standard e-cig. You know, maybe you've gotten into an Ego battery or an Ego kit of some sort, and you want to rock it on an Ego battery. They do work okay on an Ego battery, but if you were to get something that'll do a little bit more than 3.7 volts, dual coil cartomizers, actually, sorry, let me rephrase that. You can actually get tanks that aren't dual coil. So, you know, if you can find one that's not a dual coil cartomizer, then you can rock that out on the Ego batteries, which is great. But if you want to try an accessory that kind of looks cool and works really well, vaporist.com, dual coil carto tanks. I should actually have pricings on stuff like this, but I don't, because I don't remember. I've had this for a couple weeks now, but I know they're not that expensive because, again, I'm cheap and I bought it myself, so it can't be that expensive. Just so you know. But yeah, they're a neat little toy to have, and I just like it because you can see the e-juice and the tubes in the middle, and it looks neat, and they really do perform well. Let me take a hit off it. Vanilla cake, still my all-time vape. hmm So yeah, guys, if you're looking for a fun accessory to have for vaping, definitely get yourself a tank. Canadian vendor, vaporist.com. Check them out, guys. And as always, keep on vaping.